Hi, welcome. I see so many people on this lecture. I'm actually kind of shaken. Sorry for my shaky voice. It's always like, wow. So, hi, hello, nice to see you. Hi. Hi, friends. So today my lecture will be about communicating bad news and the art of giving information to your supervisors and the team. As you already know that, I'm Iwona. Nice to meet you all. I work almost 10 years in the industry. Something like that. I started working from a game designer position and basically proceed to be a project manager, producer. Finished basically with director of release and biz dev, and right now I'm a COO, head of studio of Flatter Than Earth. Small company, nobody knows that, but we do games. And throughout that time, I released quite a few successful titles, or I put my fingers on them. I managed 6 teams over that time, so quite an accomplishment in my opinion, so to speak. So as management is probably the easiest for us to pass very nice, very good news to people. Who doesn't like that, yeah? Telling good stuff to people around. But it's not always about that. Sometimes you have to stand tall and tell your boss about a failure. Sometimes you have to go to your team and tell them, yeah, that wasn't really a success, so bummer. And this talk will be basically about that, how to tell the bad stuff to people that you might like or not. We are just people. So in management role, we have 4 main ones, which are planning, enhancing communication, leading, and controlling. I'm skipping planning and controlling because those are the boring bits of being a manager. Nobody likes that, and those are easy to be carried on. We have so many tools for management that seriously, you don't need that stuff from me here. So we will be focusing more on enhancing communication and leading, and this talk is about that. So if somebody is not interested, I'm sorry. A small disclaimer from me. This presentation, this lecture will be carried on with a bit of my personal experience through all those 10 years. So you will actually get to know some real life experience stuff from being a manager. So rule number 1, prepare. And that's something that will be emphasized in this talk a lot. So you have to prepare on different occasions as a manager. So if you go to your board members, you have to prepare for that meeting. And if you go to your team and you talk with them, you also have to prepare with that. As simple as that. But when going to your supervisors, and for us producers and then management people, it's often the CEO, COO, director, or any board member, you need to kind of be extra prepared because it's your job and they don't want to worry about stuff. So you have to go to them and present information which is not the best in a way that they will digest it kind of easily. So you gather the information. You get to know the problem from the very, very base till the very end. Then you process it. It takes time, especially when the shock is coming up to you. Then you have to discuss that approach with all the necessary people. You are not alone in many aspects of your work. Then you carry on the plan, and then you go to your supervisors and you tell them yes, so it was a mess, but eventually we came up with a plan B. It can actually work, and they will be happy. Trust me. Yeah, another disclaimer. This presentation is basically with lots of stupid memes that are not really connected and related to what I'm talking. So, but I find them funny. So, haha. So, example from my work life would be a very nice one. So, I once come up to the office. It was a time when I was working in one of the publishing houses. And a colleague of mine, one of my employees, came to me early morning. I was still like, Jesus, the night was rough. He came to me and he was like, Iwona, we have a problem. And I was like, oh, come on, bring it on. Whatever it is, we can overcome it. Yeah, well, we accidentally released a game. And I was like, oh, fuck. That's some news, okay? But we'll manage. We'll pull through. That will be okay. It's fine. We'll do it. And the guy was like, no, it's even worse. And I was like, oh, God, what can be worse than the fact that you accidentally released a game without any marketing visibility and anything? And he told me, like, we released it 5 days ago. Well, that was something new, yeah? So, yeah, so first I was like, God damn it, how that could actually happen? How do you actually release accidentally game and you don't even check it, that it's already on store? He actually found out by chance, like he was sorting out his private store and he was like, damn, I know this title. It's actually mine. Yeah. Jesus. So the problem was pretty simple. He forgot that he put a temporary date on it and forgot about changing the temporary date to the fixed date. So yeah, so first of all, I had to process the whole information. I had to talk with the whole team because it wasn't a problem of that one employee. It was a problem of the whole department. And basically, I was screwed because I was directing that. Yeah, so I was like, oh, God, yeah, perfect. So we talked about the whole situation, why it happened, how it happened, and what can we actually do at this point. We couldn't do anything. So then it was like, yeah, so we are going to the marketing team. Hi, guys. So you know what? You know this title. Yeah, obviously. We are having some things planned for this title. And I was like, yeah, you know what? We released it. How come? Oh, yeah. It's like casually, like, how come? So, and I was like, yeah, but that's not the issue. The issue is that we released it 5 days ago, and nobody noticed about that. So, yeah. So we sat down with marketing team, like, big bravo to the guys from marketing, because they were wonderful and super helpful with the whole situation. So we discussed it again, made a very nice plan together, how we can actually work out. And this situation actually showed me one thing. There's no such fuck up that you cannot actually kind of tidy it up and make it better. Like, seriously, it's a matter of working together. So, yeah. And then, with the plan in my hands, I went to the board members, telling them, like, yeah, guys, you know what, like, we have an issue. We released a game. That's not all. 5 days ago. Then they went pale as a ceiling. And then I was like, but that's fine. We already have it covered. We have all the planning in motion. It's going on. Like, all the strategy of the marketing team was already done. So it's like, pushing it forward. Everything is going great, yeah. And they were like, oh, okay, it's actually fine. You have it under control. I gave the impression that even though it was a huge mistake, a huge failure, I gave them the impression that it's everything that we could do, we did, and they weren't happy, but at least they weren't super angry with me. They didn't fire me that day or any other day. so it was fine. But yeah, it was like a teamwork. I was like, afterwards, I came to my team. I came specifically to the person that was responsible for that release, and I told him, like, it's fine. Like, we managed to do it. The other thing was actually, like, the company was already on stock exchange market, so I was like, yeah, but that's not my job, so just do whatever you do in the board room. Like, I don't know. I don't know that stuff, so you have to do it. But that's somebody else's work. That's how actually teams work. So yeah, this is the short story of making a huge mistake. Yeah, the importance of leads and producers, and that's something that people super forget all the time. We forget that leads and producers are actually part of management teams, and they are not like teams. People actually are between. So they are not lower level employees. They are there to aid the management, be it higher management or any other management. They are there actually to aid them. And why? Because they are the middle part. They know the teams the best. And they are kind of a bridge between the very distant CEO, COO, director, and the team. Because you don't know your people when you are sitting in your cabinet and you're like, playing World of Warcraft or whatever. I don't know what those people are doing there. Nobody knows, but let's suppose. So yeah, so you have to kind of use them. You have to use the tool that you have, which is the producers and the leads, to kind of help you out. Yeah. I'm curious why I actually put that meme here. So the example here is maybe an anti-example of how that actually was a fail, that people didn't actually use the tools that they were supposed to use. So in one of the companies, we had to do a major layoff because you have different situations in your studio life. And we all want to be successful, but it's not always like this. Sometimes you just are left without investor because they backed off and yet you don't have money anymore. Or you have a very great publisher and it's not paying you on time, so you're kind of running out of money. So yeah, sometimes you have to make those decisions. So in this situation, we had to make major layoffs, and well, that's life. But the list of people that were supposed to be fired wasn't discussed with middle management. It was subjective to somebody, and nobody knows who. So you had situations in which the producers or other people didn't know that their actually team is being fired. So it's an anti-example. You don't want to do that. The proper way was here to actually inform the producers, the project managers, whoever about the situation in the company. And that's about transparency that I will be talking later on. Oh. So whose responsibility is it? So yeah, let's imagine the situation in which you have to make the tough decision that you have to make those cuts. And you already talked with the department leads, directors, producers about the situations. They know about that they kind of have to check who can actually be fired or not, and what will be the effect of this situation. Your role as a director, CEO, whoever, is actually to take responsibility for those people, because they are not numbers, they are not assets. They are Peter, Adam, John, Kasia, Asia, Magda, and whoever else. And they kind of are left out with money right now. So you have to kind of remember yourself about the fact that people are not just simple assets. So normally those people like managers, they know about situation beforehand. It's not like, you sleep the night and suddenly you wake up at 6 a.m. and it's like, shit, I will just fire half of the company. No, it's never like that. Like nobody is crazy as to do that, yeah? So you normally know about the situation a couple of weeks ago, before. So you have to kind of think it over. How can I minimize the outcome of the whole situation for my people, for my company, because nobody wants to go bankrupt. And then again, we all want to survive, yeah? So one of the things that I would recommend doing here, spread the word. Like, try actually thinking, like, talking with people around the industry. Hey, maybe you have work for hire need. Like, it's not something new. It's not like we are inventing something new here. So, and what is really important, maybe you have 2 projects in the company, because lots of companies actually have diversity of income. At least I advise you to do that. Like doing only 1 project in the company is kind of risky. That's about risk management. And you can actually shift people from one team that is, the money has been cut on them, to a team that is currently struggling because they don't have enough artists, or they are missing a programmer, or somebody that could actually help them out with dialogues, whatever, yeah? So you can move people easily. And what I kind of find out through all those years, that sometimes management is afraid to move people around the projects. They are like, yeah, the people will not like it, or they will not fit. But yeah, but why don't you just try? Maybe they will actually fit in the team. Maybe even if their skill set is a little bit different, maybe they can do something simpler, or help out in a different way in the team. Like, you can actually do it. Like, Excels are, to be moved. Like, we do it all the time, yeah? And yeah, and the responsibility of a CEO or a COO, director of department, is to actually take care of those people, because it's not only great things that you do as a CEO. It's also lots of responsibilities, and paying taxes is not the only one. You're having life there. But yeah, let's imagine a situation in which you have to fire those people anyway. Like, you have to go and tell those people that, sorry, I did whatever I could. Sorry, it's the end of the journey together. Never go alone on that meeting. Like, don't do it, please. The best solution in this situation would be taking the immediate supervisor of that person on the meeting, or HR person, to just be seated there next to you. You can do all the talking if you are comfortable with it. Most people are not, but some are, after some years of experience. But don't be alone, like one-on-one, telling somebody that, yeah, sorry, you just lost your job, and you can basically, from tomorrow, you cannot come back to the office. Just take your stuff, yeah? Why? From my experience, I know that people, they don't really feel comfortable when meeting with a CEO or a director or a head of whatever. They don't feel too great with it. Like, the situation is dire already, so why adding even more to that person's stress? But when you talk with them, you have to give them arguments and be honest. We lost funding, sorry. That's it. Like, I did whatever I could. We lost funding. You know how life is risky, yeah? So giving them arguments is super important. So always try to tell them what is the reason that they are being fired, and not just like, yeah, see ya. Because it's like lack of respect to that person. And you have to kind of know that people will have a very different range of emotions when they hear bad news like this. They will be shocked. They might be afraid. They might feel sad or even angry. They might tell you something really not nice at that point, and you never know how somebody will react. So you have to give them space, but also opportunity to come back later to you to talk with you about the problem, because it actually helps them. And support. Support is super important, and that's something that I already said. When spreading the word in the industry, you can tell your fellow friends from the industry, hey, I have incoming 5-10 people, a whole team that will be open for market soon. I'm looking for jobs for them, opportunities that they could actually move to another company swiftly without any pain. You could actually be astonished how that actually works. Like several times, things like that happen already in Polish industry. And the example here is in one of the companies we did it like that. One studio was closing up. There were like lots of people open on market suddenly, but we knew that before they actually finished work. And we actually needed a team. So we acquired 10 people immediately. And they were happy, like everybody were happy about the situation. So the former employer was happy because their conscience was clear. They were like, I did my job. I didn't left out those people. We were happy because we acquired a team that already knew each other. And basically the onboarding process was much easier for us. We didn't have to kind of, integrate them with other people. No, we just took them out and placed them in a room and, it did their job. And they were happy because they were having basically a job change on LinkedIn, like, ping, that's an update, yeah. And the 10 people that were already colleagues started working with us immediately. So yeah, it happens quite often like this. And talking with people in the industry, communication between companies is something really good, especially in Poland. Transparency, the word that everybody hates. But it's not about that kind of transparency. So most of you probably thought about salaries and stuff like that. No, I'm not happy with those topics as well. So we have in industry that kind of way of thinking that we probably shouldn't tell a lot to our employees, to our teams, especially when you're a CEO. You tend to take everything to yourself, and you basically take maybe 2 or 3 people from the management that know, but they are like not close to the team. They are like higher management, and that's it. And suddenly, bang, the news spreads, and it's like, oh, everybody are shocked and astonished what the hell is going on. So that would be cool, but we tend to take all the important news to ourselves. And the problem is even bigger when the company is on the stock exchange market, because you cannot tell anything to anybody, because everything could be actually taken as, speculation. So it's even more complicated. But in smaller companies, it works. It works. In medium companies, it works. So telling people what is happening in the company, what is the status of the company, what is the state of the company, is quite actually helpful. But you have to be cautious with it. It cannot be like, oversharing, because we are afraid of doing that. No, you have to kind of think it over, how actually that information will affect the production, the team, the whole company. Maybe I should actually tell the producers about that, or leads about the situation in the company. Maybe not. So trust goes here both ways. Yeah, you kind of have to trust that your middle management people will actually use that knowledge that you put into them in a good way, but they also have to trust you that you will come to them and you will actually tell them if something is happening bad and the risk is higher than ever, whatever. It's super important. Yeah, the example, one of my teams I carried in a very transparent way. I was, I think, one of the only people that did that. Like my team was, at first they were like considered to be weird because they knew a lot. They knew a lot of stuff about the company. I had with them every 4 weeks one-on-ones where they could actually talk with me not only about their work, they received feedback from me obviously on those meetings, but we also talked about the company state and where we are going, what are the plans of the company, if something changed or not, blah, 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 something like that. And what I actually found out is that their confidence was much higher than the other people in the company, that they weren't working in a transparent way with their supervisor. So their self-confidence was higher. They were kind of super glued together, like the team was super supporting themselves and me as well. I felt the support from them a lot. But also they were confident in a way that they were one of those people that knew what's going on. They weren't oversharing stuff. No, they were just, using that knowledge in a very general way. You normally don't take all the news that you have and think it over and over and over, yeah? Sometimes you don't use any news that you know. You just know it and you feel good because you are feeling safe about the situation because you know the whole picture. And obviously I'm not telling them like stuff about the stock exchange market or about the money, yeah? It's not about that, yeah? It was like general things that they might hear on the corridor or in the kitchen. And it's better for them to know that from their supervisor and not from one of the people that heard something somewhere and they are speculating like don't do it, like why? Yeah. So as you probably saw, this lecture was supposed to be 60 minutes. It will not be 60 minutes, sorry. But they didn't give me a chance to have it like 45 minutes. So it will be a little bit shorter. So we are coming to the end. So a short summary for all of you is in this slide. Yeah, always prepare. On any meeting, it's your job to be prepared. And I think it's never stressed enough because we sometimes tend to give out to our emotions. So, yeah, stressful situation come up. Okay, give out this decision. No, shit, it's even worse then. So give yourself time to process it before you actually go to the meeting and you tell people stuff. Like, seriously, you have all the time you need. Second, use your leads and producers. And you may think like, yeah, we are not CEOs, so the point is not really for us. No, it's actually also for you producers and leads because you don't communicate together. That's also a problem here. So use your knowledge between departments, the teams, use it, talk more. But for the CEOs, if anybody is happened to be here, connect with the team through the leads and producers because they know the team and they know the risks. They talk a lot about the personal life with those people as well. So they might know some insights like there's a risk that somebody will be leaving a company within a month or two because a family member is sick and the situation is hard on them. Maybe we can support them, whatever, yeah? It's not like you use that inside knowledge in a bad manner. You don't do oversharing again. People need to trust you. But to kind of, we manage risk. All the managers are managing risk, and that's also a risk that somebody will leave the company because they are sick or they have a complicated situation in their life currently going on. Or they might be a little bit moody because maybe they are fighting or struggling with depression, and mostly producers and leads know that, but the CEO will not know that. He's not sitting in the same room with those people, and those people are not sharing that kind of things with the CEO. Jesus, who would do that? Like, give it a break, yeah? Be responsible and tactful when you are talking with people, and bring help in many ways. This help can be actually the HR, it can be a fellow producer, fellow director, whoever. Talk with them. I often did it like, when I had to have a tough conversation with an employee, I would often go to my counterpiece in the company, and I would like tell them like, Jesus, I don't know how to carry on that. It's a tough topic. And people were like, hey, maybe you could actually do it like this to not feel, to make them feel bad, because you don't want to make people sad. Like, I think that nobody is such a sadist here, but we mostly don't do this. Like, we actually are kind of, sympathetic, and we have some, heart. Even some people will tell that producers are heartless and we only care about those numbers and Excel sheets, but it's not true. Like, let's be rest assured, we are not monsters. Like, production always hear that kind of stuff, that we are monsters because we only care about schedules and numbers. It's not true. And yeah, communicate openly with your management team. And it's management team, but also your team. Try to talk with people. Don't keep it too much to yourself. Let them feel that you can be trusted both ways. So your board to trust you, and you to be trusted by your team members, that they can actually feel that you will support them, like the way I did in the first example, yeah? The guy screwed up, but I didn't tell him, like, Jesus, you're a mistake. No, I was like, no, we have to bring it all together. Like, come on, guys, sitting here in the room, think over the plan. We are in this together. And when I came up to the board with the problem, I didn't tell them, yeah, this guy, he actually made the mistake, not me. Yeah, no, it wasn't like that. It was like, yeah, I took the responsibility at the same level as the team. I was to blame here as well. So, yeah, the trust goes really in so many ways, and it's crucial, I think. Yes. Thank you for listening, and I will be happy to reply to any question that you may have. But if you're not feeling okay to ask me questions here, I will be also available after the lecture, and I will be happy to answer any questions or thoughts after this lecture. Thank you. Yeah.
Hello. Here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my question is, you told a lot about communicating with the team. What is your opinion about over-communicated with the team?
Oh, that's one of those things that we hate the most, yeah? It happens, especially when you're a talkative person like myself, that you can over-communicate a little bit. So you tell a little bit too much for some people to take it lightly, yeah. It's bad. You should avoid it. That's for sure. But if your personality is like mine, you kind of have to do a disclaimer with them and actually trust them people. I did it a couple of times that I spilled the tea too much. Well, we are people, just it's not like I never made any mistake in my life. So I always tell them, like, yeah, that stands between you and me, and please don't share it to anybody else. I actually never had a situation that somebody would pass it over when I said that, But that's like an open communication, which is a very mature way of leading. So you actually tell them things like that, and you don't leave it in the air like, oh, they probably should know that it's not safe to tell that to somebody, yeah? So yeah, you just tell them straightforward, that stays here in this room and not for everybody. Never actually had a mistake like that that would be catastrophic.
Hi, thanks for your talk. It was very informative. I would like to get some examples, like let's say words and sentences that usually work in kind of tough conversation and which don't work at all, just like don't use it.
So basically, psychologically looking at it, everybody hates to hear no. So we try to not say no, don't, etc., things like that. You try to go over it a little bit, and instead it's like a positive communication. So you tell them, like, for example, it would be better if we do it like this, and what is your opinion on it? I hate the sandwich way of giving feedback. I don't believe in it. In many ways, I find it stupid and childish. And when I talk with many other producers, managers, they also told me that the sandwich doesn't work. So you try not to do it. So you don't do the good, bad, good. Nobody believes that. We always will focus on the bad anyway. So no's are probably the words that you don't want to use. But it's also not about the words that you are using, but it's also about your presentation. So whenever you have to talk with somebody, I find it that it's more comfortable to either sit together, or if somebody is standing, you stand as well. And you have to be kind of, acting a little bit more confident, like, maybe not like this, because that's pretty aggressive, but like, not in a way that you are telling that you are afraid of this talk, that you are lost, or things like that. That's why you have to prepare for it. So it's also about the presentation of you. So if you are shaking, you have to bring back yourself to your nerves and be like, okay, I can do it. I will do it. So yeah, things like that. Personal stuff, it's something that I would not use in any conversation. So find the middle ground with somebody. So be on the same level with them. Bring their relationship with them. Make it even, but not do that, like those things like, yeah, because 5 years ago you were like this, and oh, Jesus, I don't want to hear about that, yeah? That people will find it offensive, that's what I would actually recommend to not to do, and what to do.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Hello. You've got some references during your talk about having the team in your room, or having somebody like telling them in conference room, something like that. Do you have any advices for nowadays, like when we have more of the team, or even the whole team working not from the office but from home? Because I've got the feeling that when we communicating with the people and we have to do that online, sometimes it's harder to tell bad things.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because since last year I'm working in a full remote company, and I have people all around the world, so we never meet in one place. We use Slack and other means. So if I need to talk with people, like my team, here and now, I would just say like, okay, guys, meeting time, I need some brainstorming. Or I make a chat room, because for some people it's convenient to write more than speak. like we are different people. Yeah, some people are more vocal, some people are more like written, and that's fine. Like both ways work. So you just make like a separate room and sit there virtually and talking. But it's all about the open communication here, in my opinion. So it doesn't really matter if you physically sit in the room with them. It's more about talking with them and being there with them. That's my suggestion here.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, thank you for the talk. I have two questions. One is from the bottom up, the other is from up to bottom. How do you support a person, an employee that is going through some hardship without making it seem like you're playing favorites?
Yeah, that's a pretty relevant thing right now. I think like we are much more mature as an industry right now, and we know more about situations like this that they just happen in people's life. What I would do here is to kind of reassure that person that it's okay. It's sometimes that's all that you need to hear from your supervisor. It's okay. It's just fine. And to kind of give them time if they need it. I recently have a situation in my team. One of my artists is having health problems. And before there were health problems in his family, so it's a long-term issue that we have. And we told him, like, that's fine. Do you want to make the type of your job, with less hours? Like, do you need that kind of support, but still to gain some money? And that works with us because we have hour rates. So we pay you by hour, not like a monthly salary. So it works here, sometimes they will ask you, I did full-time, but I cannot do full-time at this time. Could we switch to part-time? And the answer will be always yes. How much do you want to spend time, or how much you can actually spend time working for us? And sometimes they will tell me, sorry, Iwona, this week is completely off. It's worse. And I'm like, yeah, that's okay. Nobody choose that kind of things. Yeah, it's something that it happens just in our lives. And I think being a supportive employer in a situation that you feel that the ground is actually taking you in is one of the key responsibilities for you as a CEO or any director. So that's what I would actually do, and what I did in my team currently.
Okay, thank you. And the other question is, if you're a lead or a manager on someone that have to give the bad information to employees, you kind of have a responsibility to them, but you also kind of have a responsibility to your company to, for example, make the company have employees.
Yeah.
So what subject would you avoid sharing?
To the team or to the board?
To the team.
Yeah, definitely all the money aspects, like numbers, exact numbers. Normally you don't want to share them, especially when you're on the stock exchange market. You just don't do them. You don't talk with your team about the possible projects that you might be having. So ongoing deals that are not sealed yet, they are not signed, so you don't tell them about these things. It's better not to hype people on the thing that may actually take months to sign, or it will never happen even, because that's what happened. But I would inform the team about good stuff. Definitely, so today we are signing a deal. It will be cool. You will like the project. The bad news, if I see that the risk of failure is quite high level right now, and I know that it's time to kind of inform the people, but it's not like the last minute of it, then I will also tell them, like, right now we are kind of, struggling. It's still going on pretty well. We have still funding, but just to let you know, let's be prepared on different situations. It may occur that the employee will decide to leave the company at this point, because people like to be feeling like that. They like the feeling of being safe and stable. So it might happen like that, but that's the other risk that you have to also take into account, yeah? That you may actually be left out without a valuable team member. And most often it will be the person that has less experience, in my opinion. Like mostly juniors would leave. Seniors would probably stay in situations like that. It's just like this.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yeah, we are all helping you to get to the 1 hour
Yeah,
mark.
I see it, like, it's like the fight is real.
You're doing a good job. Great there.
Thank you.
From your experience, can you tell me what is the outcome? I mean, is it a good idea to blame the upper management for a decision that it was up to you to decide?
So cover my mess.
Yeah, so something like that. What's the usual outcome of that? Is that a good idea sometimes to do that, or it's always no-go?
I never did that. Like I never tried to cover my mess with upper management, the board, or whatever. But something that I would use is the pluralis majestatis. So you use the magical we. We, the company, decide. So you kind of cover your back, and you don't put the blame on the board, because it's like a mystical person, we. Who is that actually? Nobody knows. It can be the board, it can be me, it can be whatever, the weather outside could actually be also we in this situation. But now, I would never do it directly like this, like, yeah, it was actually his idea that it's a mess. Like, no, seriously. Let's be adults here. It's not kindergarten anymore. So I think that we have the last question here.
So speaking about the board, there might be a risk or trap to being under pressure, especially if there is a deadline, to not be too honest with the board members and break the bad news. So what are your tips to building that courage or building that relationship with the board members, so you don't feel hesitant to, not to lie necessarily, but omit the harsh realities and just hope for the best, that maybe they don't notice something bad about the project, because sometimes you can get away with? Or like a two-part question, if you see that in your organization that the production tends to do that, how would you break that cycle so then you have a proper communication of the board, so there's no disconnect between the reality of the matter and then what board sees?
Yeah, obviously the board should know whatever it is important. So your job is actually to evaluate the importance of the things that they should know. I struggle at some point with it. Like, I didn't know what exactly I should be telling the board and what actually is not really relevant for them. So I was like spinning the tea, like everything. Like I would go to the board and I would tell them my whole day, which was probably too much. But it was like a proper bonding moment, I think, for many of us. So you don't bring too much irrelevant stuff. So things like that are simple, small things that that they will be, solved within a day or two. I would never tell that. But if it's like important things that might affect the PR of the company, obviously that's your job. You go there and tell them that there's a problem. There's a high chance that it will spill outside the company, and the PR will be awful of the whole situation. And your other question, sorry.
Yeah, have you ever? I mean, building the courage to tell them the bad truth, because you know you can get away with it, but you might have that scare that maybe let's not be too and basically say everything's fine, even though everything on the other side is on fire.
Actually, to be honest, I'm a super honest person, and people that work with me, they already know that I'm sometimes too straightforward in a way. So I never actually had a situation that I was afraid to tell the board or my bosses that something is a mess. I think I always gave feedback after making the decision of leaving the company. I always try to give them feedback because I think it's something useful. But the decision, if they will use that feedback, it's always to them. Like, it's not my job. Yeah. So. I guess in a way you can have a problem with going to your board. Like, I know, especially young managers that are kind of afraid. Normally, the CEOs and other people from the board are older guys. Like, I'm sorry, guys. Like, older meaning people around my age and a little bit older than me. But I'm not old. We are not old. Forever young. but yeah. But I'm telling, like, people like 22, 23 years old managers, they might be kind of, like, shit, I can't go to that guy and tell him that, it's a mess and we don't know what we are doing currently. So I guess what you have to do is even more preparation. So think of possible questions that they might ask you, or carry out like a plan of the whole talk and what they could actually possibly think here. So they might be angry. Okay, think of a solution for angry. Tell them a stupid joke that will relieve the situation, obviously, and things like that. Yeah. So that's part of the preparation that you can actually do to master yourself. Like, I will do like a prep talk with myself. I did it with my team because sometimes I was like, with the mess with the accidental release, I was stressed with going that to the board, to be honest. Even with the plan, I was like, that's a huge mistake. And my team was actually doing the prep talk for me. The guys like 20 years old, they were like, you can do it. We believe in you. You have it. Yeah, pull your shit together and you can do it. So sometimes you just need a little bit of support from other people, and that will work.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Great. Awesome. Thank you for attending the meeting, field lecture. Great to see you and so many questions. And enjoy the rest of the conference.